Macarena Sanchez is a 27-year-old forward who, since 2012, has been playing for UAI Urquiza in the Campeonato de Fútbol Femenino, the highest level of women's football in Argentina. Unlike their men's team, who reside in the third tier of the national structure, Urquiza's women's team are one of the most successful in the country, with only Boca Juniors and River Plate having won more championships since 1991. However, women's football is not professional in Argentina. Instead of proper salaries, players are often limited to per diem expenses and given part-time, non-sporting roles within the organisation. Since 2012, Sanchez has been supporting herself with a 400 peso per month travel allowance, the equivalent of just over £8, and by working in the administrative department of a company connected to the Urquiza directors. Worryingly, Urquiza's reputation for looking after their women footballers is better than most. In an interview with The Guardian's Suzanne Reck, Sanchez revealed that a majority of clubs actually charge their players to compete, with many not funding the basic tenets of sporting life, including training, sustenance, and expenses associated with injury recovery and treatment. The players themselves are left to foot the bills. It's a common complaint, not just in Argentina. In December 2018, Colombian international Melissa Ortiz described why she had walked away from her national team, citing poor facilities, weak training ground structure, and non-payment of expenses. In January 2019, Macarena Sanchez found out just how precarious her own professional career was. Urquiza announced that she was no longer required as a footballer, and with signings of new players only allowed in the closed season, she found herself without another club and unable to play football until at least the middle of 2019. But Sanchez is a firebrand. A committed feminist with a tattoo of Frida Kahlo on her forearm, she is suing UAI Urquiza for compensation for her 7 years of sporting service. She has little interest in finance and is instead using the case to take aim at a societal culture which is, in her words, retrograde, misogynistic, and macho. According to her lawyers, the resistance to professionalism in women's football is an intentional ploy which allows the clubs and the AFA, their umbrella organisation, to maintain control over the sport. While those opposed to paying women players draw on the trite arguments about a lack of coverage, interest, and commercial viability, Sanchez contends that the perceived lack of interest is an illusion perpetuated by promotional and broadcasting inertia. The recent history of the Argentinian national team supports those grievances and also testifies to the derisory attitudes surrounding women's football. The national team went on strike in 2017 over the non-payment of a $10 stipend, and in 2018, Adidas made the decision to use models rather than players to promote the shirt designed for that year's Copa America. And while those are complaints familiar to women footballers worldwide, they seem particularly pervasive in South America and conform to a long history of neglect. According to research conducted by Brenda Elsey, a professor of football politics in Latin America at Hofstra University, the women's game can be traced back at least as far as 1923. Nevertheless, some of the incidents reported by Elsey are dispiriting, including Estudiantes winning the title but the federation forgetting to give them a trophy, and worse, Gabriel Tamrigo, president of Colombian club Deportes Tolima, referring to women's football as a breeding ground for lesbianism. Macarena Sanchez's aims do not begin and end with her own compensation. If her action is successful, she intends to donate part of her settlement in aid of progressing women's football in Argentina. More specifically, she hopes to use the case as a means to catalyse local professionalism and to also guarantee the rights denied to her and her contemporaries for future generations. Beyond literal employment, Sanchez also believes that women footballers must be integrated into the Argentinian equivalent of the PFA, and that their careers must be safeguarded by the appropriate medical coverage. "We want to live from football," she says. "We want to play football and be able to enjoy it." There are whispers of change already, and of future players being able to do just that, with the Argentinian FA likely to announce the beginnings of a professional women's league, in which clubs would be compelled to employ at least 8 full-time players. Macarena Sanchez originates from Santa Fe, sacred ground in Argentinian football and the birthplace of Gabriel Batistuta, Jorge Valdano, and Lionel Messi. The launch of any new league is likely to be too late for her career, but in the case that she has launched and the attention she has brought to this cause, she too could leave an indelible imprint on her sport. This video was made in support of womankind. Womankind Worldwide is a global women's rights organisation working in partnership with women's rights organisations and movements to transform the lives of women and girls. Womankind is working towards a world where every woman and girl can live free from violence and discrimination, have a say in the decisions affecting her life, and be free to know and claim her rights.